digital marketing tech expert Dan Sodergren. Good morning, Dan.
Good morning.
Good morning. So catfishing from a tech point of view, what is it, Dan?
From a tech point of view, well, catfishing is literally just scamming online and really through online dating, and it's mainly done. About 83% of it's done, sadly, through Facebook. But it's not a kind of just a romance thing, really. It costs victims around about $1.5 billion. So it's a big thing. You know, normally I talk about AI and technology and stuff, but I've actually been on the BBC show, which is called For Love or Money, and I was predicting the rise of this phenomena. And it's actually more to do with artificial intelligence and technology than maybe you think, because with AI, it makes most people more productive. If you work in marketing, it's about 400% more productive, they're finding. But of course, it's the same for the scammers and the hackers, because scamming is just marketing. It's just awareness, interest, desire, and action. And so AI allows you to create loads of these fake personas and personalities that go out there and use psychology to persuade victims to hand over cash. And now, of course, with AI, it gets even more sophisticated. So it's not just demographic information they've got on you, it's the psychographic information on you. And as I say, most of this happens through Facebook and then some of these apps as well. And because of that, there's a huge amount of data they'll have mined on the individual, and they can really know how to pull the strings and to pull the heartstrings and to trigger them into a response. So it's sadly the power of that data and the power of a lot of social media stuff out there means that this is happening more and more.
So what will the person who's on the wrong end of this experience?
Well, definitely, I think from the psychologist will know a lot more about.
No, but I mean in practical terms, how do you? What's happening?
Oh, right. Well, in practical terms, it could be a series of posts to start off with. It depends where they meet you, of course. They can meet you online. It depends where it is. Often what scammers try to do is get you onto kind of WhatsApp and personal messaging, so they can kind of hide behind those services a bit more and get you off Facebook and starting to chat to you through WhatsApp, etc. And exactly the same with if you were on Hinge or Tinder and all these other places. And we've got to kind of teach people this digital green cross code, which is almost, if it feels like it's too good to be true, it most probably is. And we now live in this post-truth world because it's so easy to fake images. Text messages are quite easy to do, of course, but now, of course, you can fake voice, you can fake videos, you can fake everything because of the power of AI. So we're in this brave new world, and we've all got to be a little bit more careful than we were before.
I mean, it's an interesting heady mix. I mean, Joe, to bring you in, as Dan has explained, I mean, catfishing is scamming. It is, a form of scamming, and basically people are out to try and get money off you, to extort you in some way, but because they are using romance and affairs of the heart to do it, perhaps, I'm imagining, but you'll tell us, people become a little bit more susceptible. I mean, you can be very sceptical about a product and think, oh, that's too good to be true, I'm not answering that. But if you think it is the man or woman of your dreams, you're in a different headspace, aren't you?
Completely, and Dan is absolutely right about how sophisticated it has now become. So really, yes, it's a scam, and they will target the most vulnerable, the most susceptible. They'll quite often know something about you. They'll know that you may have some money for whatever reason. You could be a widow, who knows? But they'll kind of schmooze you, I suppose, for want of a better word. They'll say all the things you want to hear if you're yearning for love or a close relationship. It starts off fairly gently. They sort of pull you in. Everybody feels it can't happen to them. That's the thing. But because it's become so sophisticated, actually, people they start to believe it. They don't think they're too good to be true. They think this is lovely, this is kind, they're saying all the right things. And then, when they do find out, sometimes after a considerable loss of money, the shame, the shock, the humiliation, they feel foolish. I mean, it's quite a traumatic experience for mainly, it's not only women, but majority of women, feel that way afterwards.
And does it, the money side of it, does it tend to be a direct request? Oh my goodness, I've got this bill to pay, and I'll be able to cover it, but I just need some money for 3 days. Is that the kind of way it works?
It will certainly start off with a small amount of money. Yeah, it'll start off with something that doesn't alert you. There's some problem, their flight has been cancelled and they didn't have insurance anyway. You could just send the money for a flight. It could be anything. It's probably not a big sum of money. It'll sound quite convincing, and it starts off that way. And this is the bit that nobody really understands, because they say to themselves, look, okay, they asked me for £100. That sounds like a legitimate reason. And then you suddenly find, you've been scammed out of tens of thousands of pounds. And that's the point. People think, this will never happen to me. But these catfishers are incredibly, I use the word advisedly, skillful at what they do, and they're probably doing it to numerous people simultaneously.
And do they, excuse me, play the long game with it?
Yes, you would have to play the long game. You can't go in and say, listen, I've suddenly got a bill for £10,000, can you lend me that after 2 messages? No, they will play quite a long game before they even ask you for any money at all. You've got to feel comfortable and safe and secure with this person before you start lending them money.
I mean, Dan, it's interesting, Joe was saying that they will pick on people who are vulnerable and susceptible. Nobody likes to think of themselves as, vulnerable, susceptible and easy to fool, do they? And as you say, these are becoming ever more sophisticated. So could anyone be susceptible?
Well, I think so now, because of AI, because of the ability to create all this images and all this backstory, and or even including videos and other things that would be entirely fake. We're in this post-truth world, and so no one can really be blamed, except you should always really have your guard up, really. And if it's not happening in real life, I'd always be questioning it anyway. However, I'm right smack bang in the demographic who might be targeted. So it's 45 to 55-year-olds that the most targeted, but also it's about 60% men. Rather, most people think this is a female phenomenon, but actually it's about 60% men who get catfished. But as the lady was rightly saying, it's a long game thing. The average amount of time is 146 days. Right. So, it's almost half a year until you realise this is happening. And bizarrely enough now, and this is the kind of the modern world we're in, this is the future of work, sadly, even on LinkedIn, if you know LinkedIn is the kind of B2B networking platform that you wouldn't think this would be on, there's a 37% increase in catfishing on LinkedIn. So you're not safe anywhere. And I think this is the point, is that even if you think you've met them, online through a business relationship, and it wasn't a dating site and it wasn't Facebook, anywhere on social media, they will get you, because of course, you've got to remember, this is their job. It's literally how they make money. And as you say, they are skilled, not only because they can utilise technologies like artificial intelligence, but also because they've been doing it for a very long time. Most probably even, supporting their family with it for generations. So it's a scary thing, isn't it?
It sure is. Dan, we've got less than a minute, but are there any things that you can alert people to that are very obvious red flags look out for?
Yeah, the biggest one is anything to do with cryptocurrency. That's the biggest thing they'll try to get you into, is to buying things like that, which you would just think they're just being nice and giving you a hot tip on a share you can buy or a cryptocurrency you can get into. That is a definite red flag. And also, any moment where it looks like it's coming from a dodgy email address, or if they change their email address over time, definitely be scared. And of course, I'd always say, just never give people money unless you've met them in real life. But maybe I'm not romantic.
Well, good solid advice though. Dan, thank you very much. Thanks also to Joe Hemmings.